Welcome everyone to Cross Button VR Snap. Now, if you don't know what Cross Button VR Snap is, it's when we talk about a game and we focus it centrally lies just on that one game. We don't talk about anything else like news or have a guest on. Usually there's two of us, which is this is the first time I'm doing a Snap episode myself, so this is going to be a bit of an odd one. And recently, as described in another episode, I was invited to the VR Game Showcase event to try out two upcoming VR games, and they were Reach and Thief VR. Now, today I'm allowed to talk about Reach, and hopefully soon you'll be seeing thoughts on, the other game, but we'll touch on that when the time comes. I won't be saying a thing about that right now. So let's talk about Reach because, you've seen pretty impressions from other channels and things like that, and a lot of them will cover the PC VR version because that's what we were shown at the event and what we were able to play. We got set up on a computer and we were able to go through 4 different levels, and I feel like these levels may have been dimmed down a little bit, cut short just to kind of fit within an hour, and I can show you some footage of that. But instead of showing you the PC VR footage, because that's what I've already shown on my other channel, Games with T, which I'll put a link down below if you want to go see the PC VR footage. Instead, I'm going to focus heavily on the Quest version and how the Quest version runs and plays. I played it on the Quest 3, and I got to do that from the comfort of my own home, as opposed to an event with people talking around me where I can't hear certain things. Obviously, that's the nature of the beast. Is not an issue. I'm not complaining about that. There weren't a complaint. But before we dive into that, I just want to give another big shout out to the VR Game Showcase, Jamie and Zeena, for the invite. Thank you for considering us. Cross Button VR, also my own channel, Games with T. It's such a pleasure to be there, meet you in person, meet both Jamie and Zeena in person. It was just a fantastic time. I got to travel to the event with Jamie Hero, and it was just great. It was a really good day. So, like I said, today we're going to be talking about the actual Quest version of Reach and what I've played, the 4 levels. And we'll start off just talking about how the Quest version runs, because I feel like a lot of people will be focusing more so on the PC VR version, just because that's what they got to play at the event. But loading up the Quest version, I was shocked. And I say that because I was shocked in a good way. I was actually surprised of how the game looked on the Quest. I'd say it was the equivalent of maybe... I'm trying to think of where I can compare it to or anything like that, but maybe we'll just hold off on comparisons because it might not be fair to compare things because this isn't a final build. And I will like to, touch on that. It's definitely not a final build. There's more to come to this game, obviously. So there may be certain issues that I had, and I did have some slight texture popping. But again, with it being a final build, I kind of just was like, yeah, cool, carry on. But I was shocked with how it looked. The game looks fantastic. On a Quest, I was actually quite surprised that it's even running on a Quest because it's quite a very demanding game, I think. Frame rate in terms of how it was running was very smooth. There were some odd moments where I had some frame stutters, but that was more so when it was loading a new area and things like that, which is common with Quest games. It starts loading a lot of background stuff, then it can be quite frame heavy. But with this, it seemed to function absolutely fine. There was in certain moments though where it was loading a new area and you can see the frames dropping. But when I was in areas with multiple enemies, it was functioning very smoothly and it felt very cool. So, yeah, in terms of graphics and how it looks on the Quest and plays, I'm happy. I'm happy with how it looks. I mean, I'll probably still opt to play on like maybe the PSVR 2 or the PC version, but at the same point, if all I had to play this on the Quest, I wouldn't be disappointed. And that's really good to say. So happy with how that looks and how that runs. So let's dive into the gameplay and talk a bit about the parkour, because I feel like the parkour for this game is a very centralized piece. I feel like we've all seen videos and trailers of Reach showing off this various parkour system that's very fluid with the climbing and the sprinting and all that kind of stuff. And the reason it's such a central point of the trailers is because they've absolutely nailed it. This is something you can tell they've done, went back to the drawing board, done again, fine-tuned it, made it perfect to the point where this integral part of the gameplay is fun to do and you want to keep doing it. So much so to the point where it wouldn't have bothered me if there was no combat, there was no puzzles, it was just me parkouring my way through this demo. I would have been happy with that because I walked away with like, this is fucking awesome. This is adrenaline rushing. It was really cool, and I can't say it without a smile on my face. It was just really, really nice. Now fast forward a little bit. You start the game, let's actually go back to that. So you start the game on a bit where you're on like a normal surface. You're not in this underground level. Sorry for that cut, I just had a bit of a cough. But you start this on like a normal level and you've got to go save some hostages and you do like parkour, and that's like your tutorial area. But it's a very adrenaline rushing section. It plays really well, and it's absolutely fantastic. I think it's one of the best openings I've probably had in a game, and I'm hoping that is the opening for the game, or maybe there might be a little bit before it on the actual full release. I don't know. I don't know how they're planning these levels out, but for that to try that on the demo, I walked away like, whoa, this is awesome. You fast forward a little bit, and then you go to the bits that have been shown in the trailer. You're parkouring around this underground level, climbing all these different type of walls, these trellises and things like that. And again, it looks really cool. And then you get a little bit further and you try out the combat for the first time because it gives you the bow. And the bow feels really good. It's very tactile. I'm terrible with bows in VR games to the point where I don't like bows in VR games, but this is one where I was actually comfortable with. You can really quick draw it and all that kind of stuff, and it plays into the combat really well, which I'll touch on again soon. So once you've got the bow, you then learn a bit of the combat as well as the sneak attack, where you can kind of sneak up to the enemy, grab their spine and pull it out, which sounds really gory and grotesque, but because the way the enemies are designed, it's not really. It's because they're kind of like mechanical and electronic, it kind of works into it really well without any like unnecessary gore that I feel like wouldn't fit this game too well in its census. But at the same point, happy they kind of added this kind of sneak method in, although I did find I didn't really use it past that one point. Like I feel like I've never used it again, which was a shame. I'm sure I've seen others use it in a better way than me. Maybe I'm just terrible at sneaking in games, who knows. But the overall like gameplay went from that, and then I went into another combat section, fast forward a little bit, and then I met a character, and this character was like a flying statue. I won't go over his name or his purpose of the game, but you could tell that this area and this character has been made very well. The voice acting was perfect. It sounded great. The overall motion capture of this character looked really good, and just hearing your main character and this character have a conversation, it just seemed very professional and very well made, and I was extremely happy with that. Now at the event I wasn't hearing it all. I did actually bump the Quest up to the highest volume at the event, and obviously I can still hear background noise because the way the Quest headset is, it's, you know, they kind of the volume shoots up. But at the same point, when I tried it at home, I was like, this is awesome. This sounds really professional. Really happy with this, and I walked away again more intrigued about what the story is going to be telling me when I get to play the full release, and I'm really excited to do so. Now, he did the most nicest thing. He gave me a shield. Now, the shield's been shown in the trailers a lot, and let me say, this is probably one of the best mechanics I've had in a VR game. It feels so intuitive, and it's so simple to summon as well. Like, you do a gesture on the controller, and you like kind of like throw your wrist down, and it spawns a shield on your wrist, and you can just launch it. And it feels incredibly satisfying every time you get to launch that shield. It's so fun to do, and I've said it in my own video, which I'll link below, where you can see the PC VR footage on my channel, as well as my other thoughts from the PC VR version. As opposed to now, at this point, I've played this demo probably 3 or 4 times. I've really sunk some time into this and got to replay it over and over again, and still walk away smiling. But Shield, I literally stood there smiling at the demo event. I was just smiling with happiness, and I think the dev even saw me. He could just see how happy I was about that. It was fantastic. But you go on a bit further to that, and it kind of then gives you to a section where you can harvest mushrooms for your injector, which is a simple inhibitor, which you kind of just shove into your arm and heal yourself. Works absolutely fine. It's very VR as fuck when you kind of like grab the mushrooms and crush them in your hand, and that works the same with another thing that I'll talk about soon. But I got to a section where I can now use the shield and the bow in tandem with each other, so I'd be shooting the bow and then getting the shield out, you know, defending myself from their shots, launching the shield at them, pulling the bow back out, grabbing the shield again, and it feels incredibly fluid. And when you actually master the combat, as opposed to how it may be the first few hours you play, it shows off a section, like, because when you first play it, you kind of like maybe shoot your arrow a few times, hold the shield a bit, throw it, but you're not doing this fast. You're doing it because you're kind of like protecting yourself, whereas like you play it a few more times and you're now doing this because it feels right to play it that way. It feels badass to play it that way, and I think that's when people are really going to be like, well, this is awesome, is once they've kind of mastered that technique. And the game clearly has that in there to make you learn how to do it better. And I feel like just wanting to learn that is enough for me to replay it. I mean, so much so that I've played the demo multiple times. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. But going forward from that section, it took me a little bit further, and there was an area where I could collect various arrows, and these were electric, frost, stun, and I think an explosion one as well. And again, these work off these bugs that you can grab and then squash in your hand. Very cool. Again, it feels very VRAF, and it's just a very awesome thing for them to do in the game because it feels very intricate to pick them up. So when doing that, you literally get these various arrows that you can kind of spawn and shoot at the enemies, and if you shock them and stun them, you can then steal their pistol. I could never do that successfully. I basically missed every single time, so I just carried on using my bow and my shield. And it was just fun. Like, I didn't walk away disappointed at any time, and like I said, I've played this multiple times now, and just constantly I was extremely happy with what I've played, to the point where I'm just really excited for the full release. Like I said, this isn't a final build, so much so there's a section where you kind of jump up and do like this little secret area, and it comes up a picture of I'm assuming it's one of the developers' cats, but I think Jamie Hero spotted this at the event and he told me about it, and then I've found it when I've been playing it again. They should keep the cat in there. It's just funny. It's just like, why is that even there? Like, it's just a bit of a good bit of laugh, but it gives you an upgrade for your shield. It gives it more defense. But yeah, from what I've played of this so far, I'm excited. I can't wait for October to roll around. I can't wait to jump into this and play through the whole game and understand the story of what they're trying to tell, because I think they're really trying to make this really cool story for you to get engrossed in. And from what I've played so far, I'm definitely intrigued to play more, and I can't wait. But yeah, anyways, if you've enjoyed this, you know what to do. Stick around on the channel and catch our episodes that come every Tuesday, where we'll usually have a guest on and we talk various VR games, VR news across PC VR, Quest, and PSVR 2, keeping everyone happy. So yeah, see you all again next time. Take it easy.